Welcome back to smarthelpy.com. On Tuesday, I went through and was showing you guys that how I'm going to update the inventory restocking template to go out for a period of 36 months instead of just 12 months. There's a lot of nuance and a lot of actual reference changes, and it was more difficult than I thought it would be. But now I've done it. You can see on all, let's see, there's V2 Mod 1, V2, and the original all are going out for 3 years now instead of just 1 year. Um, you can see on the monthly, we're going all the way out. There's just a lot of nuance in getting the references proper for inventory levels. One thing I did add is the average sales for year 2 and 3 should be higher, or if they are higher, you should be able to reflect that, or if they're just different than year one. So, and the resulting reorder value should also be changing with that. That was probably the biggest difficulty is now we had to add a validation tab to reference based on if you're in year one, two, or three. What's the reorder amount? So that now had to be a dynamic table instead of just referencing this column, which is all we had to do when it was just 12 months. Um, so anybody using this, the base version inventory restocking is the simplest, and I don't think um, it's worth it to use the. I mean, you could. It just has less variability. V2 Mod 1 is the original, but it's adding payment terms and minimum inventory level. Those two factors are pretty big. Otherwise, it works the exact same. And then V2 is just is for a startup where your first purchase date might be some other date in the future, and it's not assuming that you just are reordering um, in the first like beginning of the forecast. So that's why this had to have a first purchase date, and that's why V2 is different than the other two. If it wasn't, and I wasn't going to do this version, I would have just made this, version 2, and it would just have this in work just like it does. But I wanted to give startups a better um, granularity. So now I just have all three. The base, which works the same as V2 Mod 1, except for it doesn't have these two columns. And then the V2 is for startups that might, they're doing a 12-month forecast, but in the first few months they might not be buying inventory. One thing you saw in the video tutorial, or not the tutorial, but the walkthrough of when I was talking about updating this, is the, the inventory balance was going negative on a monthly basis, and I was trying to figure out why. And it's not in this, it's based on the assumptions is what that will happen, depending on how that happens. But it's okay if it does happen here. Like if we go into the monthly on this one, and I highlighted in red any of those situations that happen. And all it means is based on expected sales for that month, the expected reorder amount arriving in that month against the previous inventory level. It could be negative. It'll be positive on a daily level always because it never goes back. On the inventory level sheet, it always goes to, before it gets to zero. Uh, let's look at this one. It never goes negative. There's always going to be a reorder. However, when that comes in, this is triggering the model to say, okay, we need 455 to come in here, order it back here, and then based on the sales in the period, um, you'll see a net inventory balance. Well, the thing is, depending on when the inventory arrives in your actual, so your average sales per month don't mean it could mean you have 1 or 2 months that are higher than your average. And so even though the model's telling you gotta buy it then on a monthly basis, net, it could mean you go negative. And it'll never be that much. Um, and it should never be back to back months. But these negatives would clear up depending on how your assumptions are set here, like how many months are you reordering for? What's your average sales per month? If there's not a lot of variation, then it'll be fine. Um, but it's just another reason why V2 Mod 1 it works so well because you can actually set a minimum inventory level, and that kind of helps you to never go forecast a negative monthly balance, which is why you don't see any negatives on this one. It goes down like here. This one goes down to 3. What's the closest one? This one goes down to 7. Reorder, go down, reorder, go down, down. So you can see the thing is really cool to see your changes in inventory over time based on seasonality of sales and just forecasted sales with all that lead time logic uh, and the payment terms. Now, if you have to pay right away as soon as you order, you would just set this to 1, which is fine. And let's go back here. So I just want to show you an example. All right, I guess let me start here actually. When you go to purchase this, or if you already have purchased this, just let me know and I'll send you it. If you did buy it, I'll send you this version. If you only want to use it for the 12 month, I put a little hide thing here so you can hide this. So you only see 12 months worth of data. And this is really the most valuable tab besides the visuals are kind of nice. But this, if you just want to see 12, you could do that, or you could extend it out. Or if you wanted to use some other amount of months, just hide the columns you don't need. That's completely fine. It won't break anything. I did add, since we're doing it on a yearly basis, I added a yearly tab to all these to show what happens in the balance. You can see the balances on a higher level stay the same, and that makes really good sense because it means you're in a year you're buying what you use, and the balance is staying the same. This is a good check on the formulas to make sure these are similar. Now, it could be a little variation. You can see here we go 82, 86, and um, here 689, 2303. This is just going to depend on the timing of things. So it's not always going to be the same, but it should be um, going up and down, but not just down, down, or up, up. It should be kind of staying the same. But again, it's going to depend on all your assumptions, your sales history, your reorder points, and everything else. So a lot of variables there that would affect that. The model's still $45. It comes with all these versions. It also comes with the reordering template, which is different. Um, just an add-on and bonus. So let's see. On this one, I just wanted to show you an example of making. So let's see. We got SKU 18 here. It gets to -9, -6, -15. So let's look at SKU 18 and I'll show you how to change things so that is less likely to be negative. So we'll go to the control tab, and this is just on the base version. So 18, did I say 18? Yeah. So let's make the reorder point. Let's keep everything the same here. Let's see what the sales are looking like for that one. So 18, it could be, yeah, see, look, I can already tell. So you've got 800, 380, 460, 37, 770. So the very, very fluctuating average sales or historical sales, which I just put in random numbers here. So that's why you're seeing, like, when you see big variations in average sales per each month, that is going to possibly give you negatives because the average is so different than some of the months. And this is not super common to see like an 800 unit month in a 37. That's probably not likely. And then it goes straight down to 100 here. That's not even regular for a random like sample. But let's say your sales are closer to, let's just do it. I'm just doing made up numbers, but let's see the deviation's not that much between, let's say 125 a month and 350 a month, or let's say 200. and then we just scroll that over, copy paste values, and now we should see a bit more of a stabilized. And I put in the other two versions, the inventory, I put more realistic numbers, I think, for these average historical sales, so that's why you don't see any negatives on that one. But yeah, there. Now I can see 18. There's no negatives, I don't think. 91. Yeah, there's none there. So some of these negatives are just because I put in assumptions that might not be realistic, but that's fine because you're going to put in your own numbers for the historical sales, your forecasted sales, and the percentage that might change year over year in year two and three, as well as how year one changes from the average historical. So I'm going to save this here. Okay. So yeah, just go to smarthelping.com. This is like my third most popular template right now. Well, it's and it probably will be forever because people just this is very useful apparently, which is I wish all my models were this useful, but you never know until you build something and get feedback. So um, I also did some touch ups on the inventory levels. I put in grid lines to make this a little bit more readable. If you're trying to go through it, we'll stick them on this part too. Um, and just I did a couple formatting things on these to make it just a little bit better. Go to this one, yeah. So you can see this is the daily level. It goes all the way for 365 days. Um, and I liked giving that granularity as well because for inventory, with the lead times being in variable days, sometimes you don't actually get if you try to do everything on a monthly basis, um, you might not get the right timing of things or the most accurate timing of things. So that's why I have a daily schedule that rolls into a monthly. Um, but yeah, last thing, the visuals. So the visuals are all extended out for 36 months as well. Um, so you can see that. All right. Well, I'm really happy I got this done. It's just an improvement on one of my most used models, and it was way more complex to add 2 years, but it's now done, and you can use it for any amount of months. It doesn't have to be for 3 years. It could be for two or one or whatever amount of months in the future. But I think 3 years is a lot better than just 1 year, which is what it was at. All right. I will see you on the next one.